Hello, 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 hello. So, like, so a lot of data was manipulated by that. So, if you have yes, so I have like, limited flexibility. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. One, two, three. Okay. भाई सर वो अपने जो टाइम लाइक चल रहा है भाई क्योंकि वाला बेटर होगा क्योंकि अपने लैपटॉप पर थोड़ा आइडिया रहेगा क्या थोड़ा इशू ठीक है वो आगे Uh, passport, right? Can you check if there is a file on the desktop? Data package, right? Just check it. Right. And when you open that, do you have something of this sort? Raw folder, output folder, and a scripts folder. Right. Guys, I need you to respond. Yeah, thank you. Don't call me such. I'm just literally 1 year old. Raw के अंदर there is auto and there is an RCD file. अगर किसी के पास नहीं है तो अभी बताओ please. है? Not here. Not here. Can I just... So what you have to do over here is write this part one. Called draw. In draw, you put auto and RC, and another called output, which is empty. So inside draw, there are two files called auto and RCT. Inside scripts, you will have two files called A1 intro and A1, so it's 1B RCT. And you will have another folder called raw, those are output, which will be empty. Just ensure that you have that. Yeah, this is very important. And put them in folder, create a folder called script. Is anyone facing an issue? Everyone done? ठीक है. Okay. So, hi everyone. Just like once it's done, just pay attention. So, this hour that like the data. The first hour would be more of like how to clean data, how to store data, and just the basic more of stuff. The second half, I'll be giving you an exciting sort of which you can of the data, and it will be related to the PDF which I sent you. So that's how it is structured, and that is the third one. So such a big I about data, data is regression. So your first command it just regress by variable and then that they five high cost. There are a lot of various several lines. Where data you do with one line, okay, look at the data, which might not be possible. However, one drawback is that you might have or different qualities. In my case, I can't put under I get and but it's very important, especially for research and in the category. I thought it might so with that, let's get started. So I want all of you to open your Stata window. If anyone is facing any problem, please feel free to interject. Okay, so this is the Stata window, right? And over here, there are several parts as you can see. This is what I call a console. Okay, Stata console. And this is what I call a Stata console. And over here, you can also write commands. But there's another file. There's another folder like window. So to open that folder window, I will say click on this. Okay, this is an open, and then go to your scripts. Over here, I've written do, but like go to your scripts command, like scripts folder. I hope everyone is on board. Okay, and then click on A1 intro. Right. When you do that and open it, you will have a file like this. I hope everyone is on board, right? Okay. So you have a file like this, and this is nothing but where you write all of your data, right? Like all of your code, so that yeah, yeah, ma'am will help you whenever you yeah. No, 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 it's open all. It's open already. It's behind. It's behind. Yeah, just go to the A, 1A. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great, great. Is everyone here? Yeah, yeah, ma'am will help you out. It's in script. You can click also directly also. That's fine. Okay, great. So now that everyone is here, so this is what is called a do file editor. So what do file does is that we just keep commands which we want to run again. So like a lot about programming is to be able to run again, which we call replicability, right? So we make any changes, some changes we like, some changes we don't like, and we want others to be able to do that as well. So we just try to save it, and this is a script file, and that's all the same in R. You have a R script, and you have like a console where you do commands. So this is more for exploratory purposes where I see okay, what is the mean median mode, but this is more for things like I want to delete a column, I want to add a column, like permanent and bigger changes, not for us but for people who are going to use after us, right? And we just don't lose hold of commands. So this is what is called a do file editor, and this is where you store the file. So coming back here, so you go look at raw. Over here you have say a data set. Okay, in data set, and this is stored as .dta file, right? And the command, the scripts are stored as .do, right? So as you can see, one a intro, that's a do file, stata do file. Okay, so what I'll do right now is that I'll walk you through, and it will be like I want all of you guys to look at what I'm doing, and instead of doing it on your own, because you'll have the second half to do things on your own, so that you learn more. Okay, so we start first of all. So we start with a command called clear. So why am I using this? Let's say I have a command, like I have things over here, and I want to remove them. I have already a data set loaded, so I just write clear and clear, and everything clears out. So see, as you can see, I can use it here or I can use it here. How can I use it here? I'll tell you. Just select the line, just double clicking selects a line, okay? And you click on Control D. What happens is that this automatically starts running. This is the first thing I'll tell you. Next, if you notice, I've put like there's some things in green, some things in red, and some things in blue, right? And some things in black also over here. So whenever it is a green, it is a comment. That means it won't be run. Okay. So so introduce that it's a comment, you have to use either star, which is an asterisk, right? Whenever you use an asterisk, it does not read it, it's not running, right? And see, over here it's blue, and then you click on it, it becomes green. So that means it's a it's a comment and it won't run. Similarly, there is double forward slash. It's also a comment, but it has an additional use. Like if I put a star like and write something over here, it's not green, right? But in front of a comment, I can explain that it saves raw. It's a green. Fine. So it's been very useful in the sense that you can write comments in front of commands and it would be fine. You can explain what you're trying to do over here. So let me just show you how to import a data set. Okay. First of all, you can just click over here, which is an open, right? This is open. And then you go for raw and you can click on auto, which is the first data set we want to work with. You can use this, but I would not ask you to do that because we want to make everything in commands, right? Stata has everything over here as well. You can do things, everything which I'm doing in commands, which can be done like, using these menus, but that's not what we want to do because we want replicability. Right. So introduce a do file, sorry, DTA file. What we use is called a command called use. Then we put them in quotes. Then we write the path of the file. As you can see, C users Lenovo desktop 402 practice raw auto.dta, and then I write comma clear. Now the reason I write comma clear is because if I were to, let's say, remove this and I already have a data, so I don't have a data set right now, right? I click on Control D. It loads the data set. See, it is the name of the variables, name of the value, variable labels. I'll tell you what a variable label is. Then I would, let's say, run this again, Control D. It's fine because I have not made any changes. But let's say I did something like drop make, right? I made a change and I do a Control D again. It will say the dataset in memory has changed since last saved. So I can't run it again. That's the reason we put something called basically controls. Yeah, comma clear that mentions. So what happens is that whatever dataset is in the memory, it sort of gets removed, right? And then I do a Control D, and you can see it loads without issue, even if there have been changes made, right? So this is the first thing. This is how you do basically introduce a DTA file into a Stata folder, like Stata command. However, if as you can see, that would mean that wherever it's not, I'm not working just with one data set. I'll probably be working with several data sets. I will be saving it. So what we can easily do is that we can define globals. What global is nothing but if you have done Python on R, it's basically taking an object and saving a string to an object. You have a line and you just use like a x is equal to something, like it's a variable which saves it, right? So what I do is that I basically take this path and look at the folder from which I'm drawing. So everything which is raw data, which is given to me, is saved in raw folder. And that is the path which is I'm saving it as, right? And then I'm doing global output where I'm saving the output path, right? Yeah, that's fine with everyone. So yeah, it's in the state. Yeah, it's in the Stata memory. Stata knows basically that what you mean when you say global, right? Global means that this will save this basically raw equals this, output equals this. Then what we do is that we use again, but instead of writing the entire line still raw, what we do is we use dollar sign. Dollar sign is like an unpacker operator. It unpacks whatever was written in raw. So in raw, as you can see, it was written till raw, or right, till raw. And then we write the file name, which is auto.dta, and I write clear in one line itself. So what it'll do is instead of having to write this all over again, I can just use the small command. Whenever I'm saving anything, I'm probably using can someone tell me what I'm using when I'm trying to save an output? Meaning, what will I use over here? Yeah. Similarly, let's say instead of use, what will I use over here? Like, yeah, just tell me this if you can understand. String and output, right? Instead of yeah. No. It's just a okay. Think of it. It's like a variable. Like in algebra, you say x is equal to one. Yeah, any. Yeah, that's up to you. That's like it should also be like understand something which you understand, right? So raw includes this, and when you write raw, this it searches what is raw. Yeah, because I've put in a yeah. So I've put in this unpacking operator. So when Stata sees this unpacking operator, it looks at raw, it searches for what is raw over here, it opens this up, and I add auto.dta to it. Yeah. So if I were to let's say do this now, instead of just all of this, I just do this and then I do a Control D. See, the file sort of gets imported automatically. That's what it means. So this is what it means when a file gets imported. That means you have variables inside, you have everything else pretty much done. Yeah, you want to ask a question? Don't call me sir. I'm literally 1 year older to you. Yeah. ये clear नहीं होगा तो ये issue होगा कि let's say you already have a data set, right? And you have made changes to the data set. Let's say I drop another variable, let's say called turn. Right, I've made a change. Now I want to import this again, right? Control D. It will say that you can't because the data set has changed. So when I put comma clear, what that does is it clears any memory of the data set which is already included, and it sort of imports it without any error. We want. I'll come to that. So basically, drops a variable. I mean, yeah. So that's why we put comma clear. It's an option. Okay. So everyone is clear till here. I hope, hopefully. Right. Okay. So now that we have understood how, now what we'll do is let's look at the data set itself. Right. So there's something called browse BR. There are several commands over here. You can go for data browse. You can click on it and it will show Excel like thing now, which is something we are more comfortable with looking at data. So इसमें क्या होता है कि all the variables are columns, all the rows are observations essentially. All the observations are rows, right? So we have 74 observations. We have several variables. So this is this is automobile data set where we have the make, which is the model, make and model. We have cost, which tells you the price of the car, MPG, which is the mileage, some other variable, etc., etc. Okay. So to go there, you can just write BR and then click on enter, and it takes you there instead of having to click on it. So I'm trying to inculcate the practice of using more commands and not like Stata shortcuts over there, buttons over there, right? Similarly, you can do edit, which is this, yeah, which is the same as the other thing. But now what you can do is that you can change values. Like let's say 196, I can make it 198 and click on enter and it will do that for you. But that's something I would not recommend because we don't want to change the data in the first place, right? So let's not try to do that. So now that I've made a change, how can I go back? I just run this again. That's one of the reasons also why I want you to use a do file is because you can just go back whenever there's a mistake instead of having to, wonder kahan kya kiya tha. So that's much easier. Yeah. 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 At the same time, no, but you can just, save a data set. Then, yeah. So you don't need to physically save it. You can just save it within the do file. And then you can open it. Basically, you create a temporary file. You don't actually have to save it physically, but it's saved in the memory. But you can't use to open two at a time, which you can do in Python. But yeah. So let's look at. So I'll show you a way. Like this is a command called count, which tells you the observation number, right? You can also do count if basically you can put a condition on count, right? If I were to, let's say, count if length variable is greater than 100, sorry, greater than 200, let's do 200, right? So it tells you 23. So there are 23 observations which have, so there's a column called length, right? Okay. And it takes values. And some of them are greater, some of them are lesser. So if you just write count if length is greater than 200, you get the number of it. So you can combine count with if. However, you're not very sure always what a command does. So what you can do is you can write help and write any command. Okay, it's not just this command, any command. So I'm looking at count. So it'll tell you how to do it. So count, you have if or in, forget in, you just look at if, right? And then you just understand, okay, count counts the number of observations that satisfy the specified condition, right? So it's pretty easy for you to like, look up anything on help command. So help is one of the most important tools whenever you use data. Just go ahead, write help and the like the command name. Going back, I covered this. I covered this. Okay, so whenever you come up with a data set, there are few things you want to note. So for that, you click on describe, right? Sorry, sorry, I did put W last minute. Okay, describe, and it will give you a list of all the variables. I hope you're able to see it, everyone. Then there is a storage type. Then forget this column. Then there is a value label column, and there's a variable label column. Now, variable name, I hope you understand that this has to be unique, right? That variable name can't be repeated. Variable label is nothing but a label you attach to a variable so that you can understand. Like when someone imports it, we can just name anything, but like you want to understand what is make. So you understand its make and model. If it's cost, okay, this means price. Especially you want to mention what units you're using, like weight in pounds, length in inches, turn something in feet, right? So it basically gives more idea about what a variable is, and it's a string attached to it. Now we come to storage type. Okay, so a lot of variables, if you know, if, are not just numbers. Some of them are numeric, some of them are string variables. So we'll just do a BR and look. Can you see a difference in colors? Right. Some of them are red, some of them are black, and some of them are blue. So the black ones are numeric. That means that we can use them for analysis purposes when it comes to mean, median, mode, etc. Now this one is all numbers, but it's still red. That means it's a string right now. This is obviously a string because it has letters in it, right? You can't calculate mean, median, mode for this. Now there's this curious case of a blue, right? This is called length subquart. I'm not like basically this mentions it's short, shorter, long, and longer. Maybe I should. I don't know. It's not very clear, is it? I It's fine. Okay, it's fine. So short, shorter, long, and longer, right? And if you can see, longer has value 4, long has value 3, short has value 2, and shorter has value 1. So that what that this means is that it's actually a numeric variable, but we have assigned value labels on it, which means that it assigns like it's a mapping basically, right? It's a function, right? Huh? It's a function. 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 Ordinal bhi ho sakta hai. There can be no meaning. Like I can say one is bus and two is train. There is no ranking as such, right? It can be just categorical variables. So these are used for categorical variables. Let's say we have treatment, right? Whether treatment is zero, then you have control, and if you have one, you call it a treatment group. So like that only, but instead of just two, we have four categories over here. So this means that we can use it, but we have this additional label which helps us understand ki kya hai instead of just like working on it. So that's very important. So, and this is called a value label assignment. Okay. So it's very important that you understand ki what is a variable label versus a value label. Value label assigns labels to values of a variable versus variable label is something which is just assigned to a variable, which is an explanation of a variable. It's not a function. Whereas this is a function. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. So this right on the right hand side, you can see each variable has a label attached to it, which tells us ki kya hai, what is the variable. It's more descriptive. It's not used for calculation at all, right? So this is basically variable label, a label attached to a variable. But some variables have values, right? And we want those values to have a sign like a string attached to it, which tells us, it describes what it is. So let's say 4 is longer and 3 is long, right? We have these numbers assigned to. So we are assigning values, labels to values. That's called a value label. So this is a distinction I want you to understand very well. Yeah. So if you were to now there's a new command I will teach you. Yeah. What? So in Excel you won't have value labels. Variable label you won't have as well. Matlab, you might have, but you can change it. So in whenever you import something from Excel, what it does is that it writes the variable name as a variable label also. But I'm not going to Excel because for Excel you can't do use. You have to use an import command. I'm not covering that today at all. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions now? Okay, I'll go ahead. Then you'll have to go online, unfortunately. See, a lot about programming is being good at Google search, right? You don't know everything, but you should be able to know what you want and how, like, how well you can search for what you want. What I will, so these red ones are strings, these black ones are numeric, and these are also numeric. Fine. So what we want to do before analysis is to convert the string variables to numeric variables, right? Otherwise, we can't really do analysis. So we'll just do a very simple thing, which like I don't want capital C in the cost, and I don't want to call it cost because as economists we understand the difference between when we call say something as cost and something as price. And even though the description is price, so we just rename it. So the way to rename is that we write rename the name of the old variable. I write capital C. Now please notice that you don't need to write the complete thing. You can just click on tab and it will complete it for you. The Stata will complete it for you. Rename cost and I call it price. Fine. When you do that, see, this thing change automatically, right? And let's say I want to do, yeah, 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 yeah. You only the loaded A key open. No? So I can always use loop, but I don't want to go there. Yeah. But yeah, you can use loops where you can import, like you use in loops and then you change things. But I don't want to go there right now. So this is the basic of how you can rename a file. Sorry, not a file, but a variable. Okay. Similarly, if I want to do a two renames, okay, at the same time. So let's say rename. I put a parenthesis. I put a parenthesis parallel to it. Let's say I want to change MPG. Now, this is another way of writing because sometimes you don't know the spellings and you don't want to mess up with it, right? So you just click on MPG. This gets inserted, right? And then I put a space here. And then I also want to change rep 78. Okay. I do that. So this thing got changed. And I want to change it to mileage. And then I want to change this to repair 78. Fine. Oops. So now if you notice, what will happen is that it will take parallel things, right? So MPG changes to mileage and rep 78 changes to repair 78. I just click on enter and you can see these two changes have been made. Yeah. What? What? I don't understand your question. Can you just repeat it once? Yes. No. Unless I save the file, unless I save a file, it is just in my memory, like the computer, like the Stata memory, not in computer's memory. So right now, what's happening is just happening over here. It has imported it, and it has not been saved. You can save another file the way we do in like Word, let's say, right? We take something, we write something, and until we save it, it's just temporary memory, temporarily, like on your RAM, essentially. It, which Oh, so this is to basically say that raw is, so whenever I were to, let's say, use, instead of writing this entire thing, and let's say I go at the end and I want to save a file, right? Instead of writing the entire thing again and again, I just write one command. I just write this dollar sign. Yeah. So it's a shortcut. Also, I'll tell you why. Because let's say I give this file to ma'am, and ma'am does not have the same path length, right? Because some people have that saved on different softwares. Her users will change, this thing will change. So when I give it to you and you want to run it, you will have to go through, scour through every place where I've used, like I've imported or saved anything. Instead of having to do that, she just has to change this line. She just has to change her path. And then she can just, work on her file. The rest of it stays exactly the same. So we want things to be as compatible with other soft devices as possible. I'm just trying to teach the best, like, possible practices. You could have just done, so easiest way to, like, open is to just go open and then like, click on a detail, like, raw file, and you can have done that, or maybe you could have double clicked on the raw like file. It would have opened, but that's not what I'm trying to do, because you want to use do file as much as possible. So you see, this renaming of a variable, you could have also done async, right? Control D, and you could have done that. So this runs automatically, and this worked perfectly fine. And you can see that, right? So I want you to, like, as you go forward, move away from the command, use command whenever you want to look for something exploratory purposes, but then definitely use this. Now let's say now we look at how to assign a label variable, right? So if you can look over here, foreign does not really have a label, variable label, right? So the command for it is that I write label, I write variable, I write the name of the variable for which I want to assign it. And then I say, okay, what do I want to assign it? So I do car type, domestic, or foreign, question mark. Then I click on enter. What happened is that it saved this variable label. Now let's say I want to change it and I don't want the question mark. I can just rewrite it and it will overwrite on it, right? See, this went away. Question mark went away. And let's say I want to remove it again. So just don't do anything. Remove this. That's it. Label variable foreign, and nothing is written in front of it. So this sort of goes away, right? So, yeah. But then the variable itself will drop, right? We don't want the variable to go away. We just want the variable label of the foreign variable to go away. So I can just do this and see, domestic or foreign. This sort of came up over here. Is there any doubt? Anyone? Okay. Now let's, so there's something called tab. Okay. Tab, what it does is, I think I'll just show you what it does and you'll understand, right? So it looks at the values which the variable takes and tells you the frequency of the value of those values, right? So this variable takes D 35 times, domestic 16 times, F 8 times, foreign 14 times, unknown 1 time, right? So I hope you understand what this means, right? Now, if you notice, D and domestic are really the same thing, and F and foreign are the same thing, just written in different manners. We just want to make them one thing, and we also want them to convert this string variable into a, because this, look over here, foreign over here is in red, right? We don't want things in red. We don't want them to be like either black or blue. But essentially, that's a way to say that I want this to be a categorical variable and not a continuous variable. So what I'll do is that if just tell me if you can understand what this means. Okay. Replace foreign equal to 1 if foreign equal to F, or foreign equal to foreign. Does anyone like not understand? Can you tell me what this means? Anyone? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to create a dummy variable essentially. But can someone tell me why is a double equal to and a single equal to over here? So single equal to will assign that value and a double equal to just ask. Yeah. So whenever you have in if condition, in conditions where you want a Boolean value, Boolean means true and false value. So you use double equal to, whereas when you want to assign a value, And that's true in other languages also, Python and R, that you have a single equal to over here. So when I say replace f equal to 1, you want to assign 1 to f if foreign is equal to f or. So this pipe operator, which is a straight line, means or. So there are several logical operators, which is double equal to means equals. This means not equal to, greater than equal to, less than equal to, greater than, less than. This is and this is or operator. So you have any condition which you have will follow the truth tables which you guys must have done in linear algebra. Which one? Here, this is not equal to. So this is exclamation mark and an equal to. So I hope you can understand what this means right now. And the reason I've put this in quotes is because foreign right now is a string variable. So we can't convert strings, like we can't replace something which is a string directly to numeric. We have to make everything to a number first, and then we can de-string it later. Yeah. So I haven't converted them into numeric. There's a difference between writing a number in string and being a numeric variable, right? Because computer does not know it's a numeric till now. So again, I hope you understand the second line as well then, domestic and then D. So what I'll do is I'll run this first, Control D, and then I do a tab. See, so whatever was foreign sort of got added 8 plus 14, and it's coming out to be 22 as 1 over here, right? And then I do the same task for this thing, and then I do a tab again, and then I just have this one unknown, right? And unknown is basically nothing but missing data for us. So for missing data, there are two ways to write missing data. If it is a string variable, it is nothing but empty, right? Empty in quotes, right? But if it's a numeric data, it's a dot. So since it's string, what we'll do is that we'll write replace foreign equal to nothing. It's literally not even a space within the strings. If foreign equal to unknown. So what this does is that, yeah, control. I'm sorry, yeah. Now you do a tab. It's all 0 and 1, and instead of 74, we have 73 observations. Fine. And now we are free to de-string. So for de-stringing, what we do is that we write de-string, we write the variable name, and you can write several variable names in one line also, and then we write comma replace. The reason we write comma replace is with that because we want the variable to become de-string and come to the same one itself. Like, just okay, I'll probably show you what a generate looks like. Gen, and then I do for. Right, now you can maybe understand better. And I do a br. So if I do a br and I write a variable, it will only show that particular variable. It won't show a browse of all the variables, right? So I just want to see these two variables. Now see, this is in red and this is in black, right? This is what happens when you write generate instead of a replace. It basically generated another variable which stored the de-stringed value of the variable called foreign, instead of replacing it. But if we did replace instead of that, it will just replace foreign. And yeah, so I have to do everything before that. Yeah. And see, now what we have is that foreign has also become black, which we wanted in the first place, right? So this is the pattern, like syntax which we use. And I'll just, since I've made a few changes on my own, I'll just rerun this file till here. So maybe, and if you want to de-string just literally all the variables, what you can do is just write de-string star, like asterisk, comma, and replace, and then click on D. Yeah, you had question? Okay. So what happens is that we can see several things over here. First of all, make is non-numeric in nature, so it did not replace, right? Why? Because make, as you can see, br of make is like letters. It can't really de-string something which is letters. Okay. Rest of like things like price were all numeric, so it became an integer, and all of these integer, byte, and long formats which you see, they are numeric in nature. But there's another thing which is like foreign, which is already numeric because we just did it right now. So it won't do a replace. So there are two types of no replace, but there are two different types of no replace. I hope you understand. Something which is already numeric won't do a replace, and something which has letters in it won't go ahead with, right? Okay, now we can see a BR, and we can see that, a lot of it has become black. That means we can do analysis, data analysis on it. So when you have a lot of numeric values, so we look at something called summarize, right? And you can either write summarize or you can just write SUMM. That's the same thing. This gives you like, as you can see, make is a numeric, like non-numeric variable. That means that there's no mean, median, mode, right? But then we have price, where you gives you the number of observations, mean, standard deviation, min, and max. This gives you an overall idea of what the data should look like to you. Any questions, guys? Okay, it's just a command, and don't worry, I'll be providing you with all of this, so you don't have to memorize anything. Oh, yeah, there's a recording also, so that's great. So you don't have to worry about all of that. But coming back, so let's do a tab on foreign. Let's say it was not named foreign. We were like, let's say it was named country or something like that. You would not really know what is zero, what is one, right? And we want that, like, there should be a value label. Are you sure? Are you clear what a value label is? It's a function. Think of a function. So you want to assign something to zero and something to one. We want to call zero as domestic and one as foreign. So for that, we define a value label, and the value label has a type. It's a name, sorry. There's a name called type, right? I can write anything over here. I write label, define, type, zero, domestic, one, foreign. But is that enough? No. What this does is it creates a value label. It just created a value label. So if I were to do tab foreign, it doesn't do shit. So the reason is that because we can just click on variable manager. So this is called variable manager. Click on this and you look at foreign. So see, you don't see a value label. However, if you click on manage over here, you can see a value label which I've created under the name type, right? And if you click on it, it's called zero is domestic, one is foreign. So I haven't really assigned it to the variable itself. So for that, what we'll do is that we use label values, foreign and type. So essentially with label, you have three sub commands: label variable, label define, and label values. So you have to be a little careful about what you do. So you click on Control D and you do label values foreign type. And now you do tab of foreign. You have domestic and foreign attached to it. So, and you look at BR, you can see it's in blue, right? And I hope you understand by now that blue means that there's a value label attached to it. What? What? Oh, conditions. So, you're saying that, are you saying encoding that? Is that what he's suggesting that? So it was a string earlier. I made it into a numeric variable and then I attached value labels to it. The reason I did it because if you were to do it directly, you would not be able to use it in a regression or any other context. So that's the reason. Okay, what's happening? I think the Zoom stopped. Did they use? Anyway, I'll just explain because I think it's stored in the first half, so that's first half. Take it. Yeah, what do you ask? Okay, so hmm. No. Because okay, so think of it this way. So you have several binary variables which take value zero as no and one as yes. So you want to assign several, like, so you can have a value label and which is assigned to several variables. That's right. There's a direct function. There's a direct way to do it also. It's called encode, but I would suggest you not to do it because you don't get to decide as to what is zero, what is one. Stata will do it automatically. That's not something we want going forward, right? So it's good practice to just I don't. Okay. To just follow what I've told you. They must be doing something else, and then yeah. Fine. So label define. Yeah, ma'am, that's completely fine. If you want to give some instructions. Otherwise, I'm just saying, all I can say is make a better job than I. Okay. So, so this is how you define a value label, and this is how I assign a value label to a function, like to a variable. So this is the variable name, and this is the name of the value label. I know it's a little confusing since it's the first time you're hearing all of this, but this is literally something you need to get started right off the bat. Yeah. This creates a function. Okay, it creates a mapping, and the name of that mapping is called type. Okay, label define, name of that value label. It does not have to be type. I can write anything. Then I say that zero जहाँ पे है उसको that make that domestic. One wherever it is one, make it foreign. Where? Because I had not assigned it to the variable. Now, so the second line, what it does is that it assigns foreign type to like the type function to foreign. Think of it this way. So this is just creating the mapping, but that mapping has not been applied to that variable, if that makes sense. Any other doubts? Okay. Now what we look at is how we can generate, a new variable. Let's say we want to add them up, right? So let's say we just create another variable and don't let's say I say price new. So I do this and write anything, right? Let's say price plus length. And this does not mean anything, okay? It really means nothing. I'm just doing it like this. Click on enter. This creates another variable and we can just look at it clearly. Price, length, and I do length sub, next price sub new. Price sub new, and we look at it. So what happens is that these two are being added to create this. So across columns, I'm adding something. So I'm creating a new column called price new by adding these two. I think that's pretty explanatory, right? But let's say this does not mean anything and I want to drop that column. So how do I do it? I write drop. I do this. I write price and I click on tab and I go down and I click enter. This sort of goes away, right? As you can see. So there's something I need you to understand very right off the bat would be the difference between column operations and difference between row operations. So if I column row operations means that you want to either drop or keep certain variables. But when I want to say row operation, that means I want to keep or drop certain rows observations itself, right? So over here, I've created something called log price, which is nothing but log of price. I want to drop two variables. I wrote drop trunk and trunk, turn and trunk. I think that's fine with you guys. Two variables. But इसमें मैंने नीचे लिखा है. Let's say I want to drop certain values if I write drop if length greater than 200. Can you tell me what will happen? Is it a row operation or a column operation? Because it takes away the rows wherever this happens, right? I can do this and I can do, let's say, a BR and I can see very few values left. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, won't you say? Right. Instead, let's say I just, instead of doing that, I could have also done keep. Okay. I can do keep if length. Stop. Yeah, this got insane. Yeah, मैंने पूरा code गलती से run कर दिया. Sorry guys. Yeah. So keep if length is less than 200. What you can understand what's happened, right? So it's literally the inverse of what we did right now, but it's literally the same thing. So keep either I drop greater than 200 or keep less than 200. It's the same thing. Let's show the same number. So 27 were deleted last time also, and 27 were deleted this time also. And similarly, if I want to just keep instead of I just say keep price, mileage, and these three variables, and I click on it, right? Click on that. Sorry. Yeah, and I click on this and do a BR. This is what it does. So you can understand, right? It's very intuitive. Instead, it only kept these things, everything else was dropped. So yeah, इसके पहले तक का I'll just rerun again. So if you can, and now maybe you guys have started appreciating why we write in do files and not on console, because there are irreparable changes which are made. Okay, but now let's say I want to drop something if it is missing. So missing ke liye is nothing but I just do drop if it's a function sort of a thing. If missing a variable, right? It's called length. Not length. Let's call repair 78. The repair 78. Maybe I should look at the tab first. Yeah. So tab. Do a tab of kya tha repair. Yeah, look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's 69, right? Instead of 74, which we know. So that means there are 5 observations which are missing. And what we can do is that we want from the data set, remove the rows where this is empty. Okay, so what we will do is that we'll do this. So no. There are other
commands which probably is not present on your Stata. So you have to do a SSC down install, but I can show you something else. It's called FRE. And if I were to do repair 78, so it was showing missing 5, total 69, total 74. But which you don't have on your software, like it's a user written code. That's fine. Just like look at it normally. Uh, where was I? Yeah. So you do drop if missing. Okay, this is like a function which takes value one, like it's true if it is that row is missing or not. So you drop kar dega if this thing is missing, and you can see 5 observations have been deleted from here. Yeah, it's not on your. That's what I said. It's not on your thing. It's a user. It's a written command. So for that you have to do SSC install FR. I'll probably if you stay around for a few minutes, I'll at the end I'll teach you. First, abhi ye dekh lo. So I did this. So this is how you remove missing. And if you want to remove, let's say if it is not missing, which will remove everything basically, right? For not missing, you just put a kya kehte hain, exclamation mark in front of it, right? And instead of this, I just write, let's say foreign. Foreign mean there is one missing. So that means it should keep one, but unless that is already deleted. Anyway, so 68 observations were deleted out of 69. We had 69, and we just have one observation left because isme foreign was not it was basically not missing, which is basically it was missing, right? That's what we have written over here. No, it's not nothing is string over here. Acha, it would. Yeah, it would. Yeah. So if you notice over here, that's a very good point. So over here, if you notice, पहले जब string में होता है, it's just empty. Nothing is written over there. But over here, it's a dot, which I mentioned in the beginning also. That whenever you have string, it's just like in quotes and it's empty. But now that it's a numeric column, it's a dot. So if I want to yeah. So string में अगर variable है, differently code लिखना पड़ेगा. Yeah, absolutely. You don't impute for string variables. Why would you string? But it's not a string then, no? It's a numeric column. See, remember this. If I haven't really stressed it enough already, blue में जो था value variable जिसमें value label था इसमें this is a numeric column. By all means, this is numeric. This is just for our seeing. Like when we see it, it's shown to us in blue because it tells us some information, but that does not mean that it is not a numeric column. It's still a numeric column. Fine. I think we will run overtime. I guess that's fine with everyone. Kuch hai to nahi. Hoga to chalega, that's fine with me. So you understand what drop if missing does? It basically removes the row where foreign variable is missing for us. So I'll just run it till here. Now let's look at some graphics, right? We have like variables which are pretty much there, but like, graph sort of gives us a better idea. You can use graphics. There is something called two-way. Okay, so it helps us do line, scatter, etc. And you can use it either say. You can do that, but I'll give you the code. I won't explain what the code is. You can go through it on your own because it's a little complicated. It's not very straightforward. But what I want to take away from here is that you understand. So I wrote two-way. Bracket में first मैंने plot लिखा, which is scatter. Y is the first is always Y, and then there's X. So this is price and this is length. And I do an L fit. What L fit means is the linear fit, which is basically passing a straight line through points, which is nothing but linear regression to us, right? And then I name the window as graph. You just don't read this. Is not for you. Control D. Because so if I were to run this again, okay, sure. Fine. Two-way is the name of the main command. Then the first bracket may so there are two plots. I'll probably show you इसमें. हाँ, तो इसमें there are two things superimposed on top of each other. ठीक है? There is one जो है this is a scatter plot and one is a straight line plot, right? So I put them in brackets in front of each other, right? You understand this point? Then first I scatter likha and then I put the y variable and then I put the x variable. And I put the same variable again, but with an L fit, which basically passes a straight line, which is your regression, right? Linear regression. And then I wrote the name of the window as my graph. And then I wrote replace because agar main isko pe rerun karunga, us pe overwrite ho jayega. But I don't want you to go through nitty-gritty. That's just like computer things, which I don't know, like which is not necessary right now. You can choose not to understand all of this. That's fine. I just wanted to show you, right? So you can see length, you can see price. Isme legend hai, there is a fitted value. This is fine with you guys? Why don't you try this on your own? Whoever has not tried again, just run this command. What? Oh, I didn't put it. So I can just, sometimes it is default. So what I did was I put in two things. So it could have also been instead of price, I put in something else, right? So Stata, that's why I introduced a legend where you can have different types of y variables in a legend, right? So it does not assume that you have put in the same thing. But I can just do it very easily. I just write y title. I call it price. Yeah, sorry. I call it price, right? And then I close it. Just price. So I mean, there are a lot of ways I can change the color, I can change the thickness, but that's not something that's very important right now. No, you don't have to, but you can always do manually to like, it's a thing, there are things which you didn't like, and you can always change them at the end of the day, right? So I can write something else also. I don't want to. And if you notice something, did you guys all draw it? Is there anyone who hasn't drawn it to Carlo? But maybe that's good for you. Acha, for that, please remember, don't not just that command, upar se niche tak, like everything from the beginning to that command, just copy, like put that as part of selection and then control D. Yeah, do a control D. Oh, you guys did not change the path? Oh, please do that. Please do that. That's the first thing you're supposed to do. I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you guys that. Guys, listen, everyone, please pay attention. Please change this path. Either do that or pehle, like, just import the document directly and like import a data set directly and then start copying from here. Either of the two things you can do. I would definitely suggest that you try changing the path first, if that's something you're supposed to learn. किसी का नहीं हो रहा तो please मुझे बताना. I'll just walk around and help you guys.
Yeah. Guys, backslash and forward slash both work, but just ensure that it's either back or forward, not. Is it working for everyone? Just let me know किसी का चला. What's it? Guys, change the global, not the first. First one does not matter. Change the second one. And also, if you like, even change actually the first one because the command won't run otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. You have to do the practice. Guys, this is taking a lot of time. I'll show you a shortcut to copy the path. ये देखो. Just look at the screen. So let's say कि मेरा थोड़ा different है, but like this is where it's saved raw में, right? I just go over here, right click over here, copy address as text. Okay. And then I can paste it anywhere. Let's say I paste it here. And then I just make all the backward slashes or forward slashes जो भी है. Just do this in तीनों जगह पे, ठीक है? इधर भी, इधर भी, इधर भी. And now try.
You fine with you guys? See, either keep all backward slashes or keep forward slashes. So the reason I keep forward slash is because Mac, when people take it to Mac में backward slash does not.
What does this raw and output do?
So what it does is that it saves this string on into this thing. So whenever I use like either, so I have used a dollar string. So dollar string वो देखता है, it searches ki what is raw. So it opens the raw, this entire thing, and then I write auto DTA. So instead of writing this thing, I basically make the first path a variable within the do file, and then I write it together. So that just basically helps you. You have to write so much lesser. Now when I save it, I just write dollar string output and the name I want to save it by. So
And what does output do?
It saves basically. Let's say this thing saves this thing. I use it somewhere else. Basically, path ko mujhe kahin, like I want to give a name to that path.
Like it's set WD and get WD.
Yeah. Not exactly the same. हो गया this side done. This side done. Anyone who has not done it अभी तक बताओ. Okay, I think you guys are done. So just draw the graphs once. If this is working, are you done with the graphs? If it is done, please just show me. Graphs. Alphabet. So if you notice, the graph which I have is much prettier than the one you have. The reason is that I have like some other schemes installed already, which I have given to you at the end of the code. बाद में कर लेना, अभी मत करना. So the default graphs is what you have right now, which is a blue background, which is not that pretty to me. So the reason is that because when you put it in a paper, it's like it's a page of this one is between white and blue. That's why I just kept the background white. So you can do that, but बाद में. I hope this you can. Anyone not able to do it till now? हो गया सबका? No. Yeah, that. Working. ये तो मैंने रॉकेट में ऑर्डर किया है पर तुमने अलग जगह पे डाला तो अभी just run. Okay, so guys, now that we are done, let's just run. Guys, please pay attention.
The file name is not raw and something else.
So you can name anything. So it's just you can draw.
So what do I do? Global and the name of the file.
No, you can write raw, but you can change it. You have to change it over here. Raw. Raw ki jagah, like this is the path file, and this is the name of the assigning the string.
So the assignment of the string should be raw and output.
Anything. You can do anything. Guys, please pay attention. Now we come to regressions. Okay. So let's say we want to regress. Oh, that's fine. वो थोड़ा complicated होगा. That's like I'm saving time, right? So I do price and I do foreign. I hope you can see it. It's not a little clear for me, but okay. So just for regression, you use your dependent variable, and then you use an independent variable. This is the way to go for a regression. So this basically gives your explained sum of squares. This gives your residual sum of squares. This gives your total sum of squares. Their degrees of freedom, the number of observations, f value, p value of f statistic, r squared, adjust r squared, and root mean squared error. Okay. And this is your coefficients essentially. The Forin's coefficient is 279, and the constant is basically your intercept, right? And over here, that gives you standard errors, the t value, the t statistic, and then your p value assigned to related to the variable. So over here, you can see. Can you tell me if it is significant or not? This p value, 0.714. I mean, 5, obviously, right? I mean, when I say if it default is 5, okay, just think of default as 5% significance. Okay. So obviously it is not. Okay. And maybe we want to look at how it looks. You don't have to understand this. Whenever I draw a graph, please don't memorize the commands. They are difficult for a reason. Okay. So this is how it looks. So this is domestic and this is foreign, and this is the linear prediction basically, which is y hat or price hat, right? So this is the mean of domestic, the mean price for domestic cars and foreign cars, and this is the 95% confidence intervals. As you can see, they overlap a lot. That means कि इन दोनों में ज़्यादा difference नहीं है, and statistically they're like the difference is insignificant. Hence the coefficient being 7, like the p value being 0.714. Right. Now that means maybe we should, and that means it's not very explanatory in general. So maybe what we can do is we can include mileage. Right? I do control D. Basically, this introduce another, like, so the first one is always the dependent variable and the rest are independent variables, right? The foreign and mileage, and there's a constant. And isme you can see that all of them are become significant. So this must have been an omitted variable, right? But ye dekho, it's negative. And is it very intuitive when you say ki the more the mileage, the lesser would be the price? It's not very intuitive, right? It's very counterintuitive to you. So what do you think is the problem? Why do you think is that is? But what kind of problem? But does linearity mean you like, okay, even if I were to make it quadratic, would the sign change? I'm talking about sign flip, not the magnitude. Is there like, why do you think it's like, is there some variable which has been left out? Is there some multicollinearity problem, heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation? What do you think? Sign multicollinear. If it is multicollinear, why is it significant?
Or maybe because of unit.
No, that's not measurement error. The measurement error is attenuation bias, it becomes. So I'll tell you, it's because of omitted variable bias, because there must be a variable over here which affects both mileage and which affects both price. Right? That's how we look at covariates, things which affect both your x variable and y variable. So let's look at these variables in the variable manager and tell me which one do you think is like affecting both mileage and price. I mean, which is the easiest one, which you think? It's weight, right? But how do we know it's true that it's weight? So I draw a graph to first show you. Fine. See, if you see over here, I've put legend, I have put X title, I have put Y title. Okay. So you don't have to worry. So look at this. So this is what is called a kernel density. I don't know if ma'am has taught you, but this is basically non-parametric data. What we basically does is that it makes, like, we have like whatever empirical value we have, we just make it continuous. It's just a weighted average, but forget all of that. This looks like a distribution, right? Right? It's like a PDF of a sort, right? So इसमें देखो, इसका जो mean होगा, it will lie somewhere over here, and इसका mean would somewhere lie over here. That would mean that weights of domestic and foreign cars are different. That means weights and foreign variable is kind of correlated, right? That means that domestic cars are heavier than foreign cars. That's what I wanted to show you. And this is what we see इसमें क्या कहते हैं in a graph form, but it's still very what do I call it? It's not finalized test. Right? It's not. Can't we calculate the correlation? correlation is not like, I think we're at a point where we have just left behind correlation because it does not give us, we do test it. So, that's what we'll go for. Like correlation, where is the cutoff? Like, how do we know where it is the cutoff? It's just a signaling effect. So what we do is that we look at difference in means. We do a t-test for difference in means, right? So we write t-test, we write weight, the variable for which we want to do it, and then we write by, in bracket, we write by for, right? So what it does is that it shows you the difference is equals to mean of domestic minus mean of foreign, and this is null. That means the difference is not equal to 0, right? The difference is statistically significant, the difference between these two. So what first we saw was more of a graph, more of a suggestion, but this is more of a test, which is like what we use like in standard algebra. After that, what we'll do is maybe then we should definitely include weight in it, right? We do control plus D. We included it. This is all fine, but if you notice, mileage over here becomes insignificant. Why is that? This becomes positive first. That's a good thing, right? But why is it insignificant? One of the problems which I mentioned earlier. Yeah, it's multicollinearity because weight and mileage are very related. So when you introduce weight, or in, like, what happens is that, or like, either of them could have been, or maybe foreign, like it's basically that it's important, but it's giving us something which was earlier significant and now not significant because of introduction of something else is sign of multicollinearity. But we just leave it inside because it doesn't harm us, right? We don't drop the variable altogether. But let's look at a RVF plot. RVF is nothing but a residual versus, so this is residuals E hats and this is Y hats, right? So what this shows is that how our residuals and fitted values, our price hats are related. So as you can see, there's a negative relation in it, right? I hope that's visible to you guys. There's a negative relation. That means that there's a possibility of what? Heteroscedasticity, because your errors are related to your fitted values. That means if they're related to fitted values, they're related to your X values. Right. So that's not something we want. And what we do is that instead of WLS, I just go for a log transformation of the price, which we created earlier, right? Yeah. Where did you create the so RVF plot? I like, it's fine if you go there, read all of them, it's fine. But this is how you do RVF plot, name, heteroscedastic, and replace. Right. And then I do reg of this thing. Right. So we have log price and we have weights. Right. Again, mileage you can see is not significant, but then we have a good idea of what this means. Now let's look at the RVF plot. Now, if you see it's more scattered, you can't really make a particular pattern out of it. So this versus this versus this being more scattered, right? I hope that's clear. So let me just show you how it looks right now. Yeah. So this is how it looks. So basically this is domestic, this is foreign. This is the prediction of prices at different values of weight, right? But I have taken and for the mileage, it takes it automatically at the mean value. So this is how it looks. And these are confidence intervals. As you can see, the confidence intervals sort of change, right? They're never the same. It's not like the distance between them is same because we're looking at the variance of Y hat and not the variance of E hat. Right. So variance of Y hat, it is least at the means and it increases as we move away from the mean. So it's something like this. SR and SR. Right? It's like a inverted, like over here it's a concave shape, it's a convex shape over here. Concave shape over here and convex shape over here. Yeah. So this is how it looks. And maybe what we can do right now is that we can look at okay, I'll just remove the C over here and then maybe understand. Is it clear, everyone? Is there any doubt? It's basically this. Yeah. So what happens is that the confidence intervals increase when you move away from the mean and decrease as you move towards the mean. That's it. So it's like a shape like this. But like, yeah. So now what we do is that, everyone please look over here. So now we do an interaction term. Okay, that's something new. So for interaction, let's say I want to do weight and weight, I could have also generated weight square, right? But instead of doing another variable, what I did is I wrote weight, hashtag weight. Now what hashtag does is that it takes there's another, takes variable. I could have written instead weight and weight square. If I do put hashtag between foreign and mileage, what it will do is that it will take once foreign, once mileage, and then foreign into mileage. So it takes all the types. But over here, since it's the same thing, it just takes weight and weight square. Fine. So I just run this once. And okay, predicted values. I just opened the predicted values. We're not supposed to do that. Fine. This thing, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, look at this. So this is how it's showing. Fine, Control Z, Control Z. Yeah, just do this. Put C dot. Okay. Yeah, so this is how I wanted to show you foreign, mileage, weight, and weight square. And it's a log, so, and this is the P values. So its interpretation will change. Please remember the interpretation of the coefficients will change, right? But apart from that, what I wanted to show you was how the margins plot would change. So it tells you that it's continuous. The weight is a continuous variable and not an indicator variable. So for indicator, we have I dot. For continuous, so whenever you put hashtag, you're supposed to put C dot or I dot to indicate that it's a indicator variable or it's a continuous variable. That's something. So if you can see, the reason I wanted to draw this is because now you can see it's a curved line because we have taken weight and weight square, right? So there's the curvature which is coming in for domestic and this is for foreign. And then mileage is taken and it's new. So, and this is a linear prediction. That can someone tell me why is this called a linear prediction, even though we are taking quadratic over here?
It is linear in parameter, linear in beta.
Exactly. So we are not really looking at when we say non-linear, we just mean non-linear parameters versus, and that, as long as that's clear, that's very important. But if you notice this thing, yeah, this is not how we generally look at regression tables, especially if you're looking at EDPI and all of that. So how we do is like, column 1, column 2, column 3, and then you have all the variables listed on the left hand side and you have numbers on the side. Something we want to really whenever you submit any assignment to ma'am coming forward, I want you guys to remember this. First, run a regression, write estimate, store, and then write any variable name, like any, right? I've written A1, you could write A5, things like this. So I've just saved it over here. So I do this. And what it does is that it saves all these estimates in A5, stored as the estimates in A4. Then I do something called S tab. Okay, S tab is basically what makes this a table. A1 to A5, comma, B of 3 means that I want 3 decimal places for the values of betas. Betas are the coefficients. Standard errors may also I want 3 decimals. I want stars to be there, which means I want significant stars. And I want R square. So let's just run this and see how this works. See, this is something probably we are more comfortable with, right? But I can't just make this and expect you to work on it, right? How do you export this out? That's important. So you write using, after you've written A5, you write using, and I hope you can understand what I've done. This can someone explain what I've done? Exactly. And I've written rest of it as it is, and I've put replace. If you can see, the replace is there because if I have written it, I've run it once, and I want to override the command, right? Because I'm not changing the name every time. So this will do is that Control T, and this kind of ran, right? I'll just click this, and it will create a Word file. Yeah, and maybe you want to see this view. How do I change the page layout? Does anyone? Okay. How do I change the layout? Where is it? Okay, cool. So I just change the orientation and maybe this is, yeah, you can see this. This is how you want to, whenever you give out data. So this is price, this is price, this is price, this is log price, log price. So this is the dependent variables. And these are the, this is how you see it, right? So this is what something you want to be able to recreate whenever you are submitting assignments or writing any kind of data paper. Instead of doc, you could have also done .tex, which is LaTeX files. I don't know how many of you guys know it, but especially if you are writing academic papers and term papers, not for assignments, but definitely term papers, please do learn LaTeX. It's very helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's used so in RA-ships, we use it every day. So अभी तक का कोई doubt है, please ask.
एक बार में एक ही data frame पे काम
You can merge data frame. data. Like you can merge. So merge is like right to left. You can do an append, which is up and down. So you basically have the same variables, but you have more observations. So you append them. You can do other like a cross also. There are a lot of things you can do, but I'm not trying to begin with that because abhi simple thing. So that's fine with everyone. Regression is fine. So I just wanted to show you कि अगर हम क्या होगा. Can someone tell me why is this? So I'll just show you a variable called tab, length, and quart. So these are quartiles of length. So there was a variable called length, and I made quartiles of it. So we'll take values 1, 2, 3, 4, and then assign. Before I showed this file to you, 1 is shorter, 2 is short, 3 is long, and 4 is long. Right? Why? Tell me this now. Why is this wrong? Why is this? Why is this regression something which is very wrong? Tell me, do you? Why is this wrong versus if I did reg price length, but that why is that wrong? What is so inherently wrong about length sub quad? Yeah, so why can't we just put a categorical variable? Hmm? Why? Are we putting in restriction by doing this?
The interpretation problem. One is that going from short to shorter, short to long.
Yeah, but this, I mean, this is nothing wrong in it, but like, are we putting an unnatural restriction on it?
So we are saying these are different things.
You see, what I'm trying to say is using three dummy variables versus using this. Why is this wrong? Why is that?
So the content is variable.
See, coming at it, it's short, long. Now, what it means to go from long to short and what it means to go from long to short.
Basically, I'm restricting everything to become one step. Right? You know, basically the distance between shorter to short and short to long becomes equal, which is something which I decided because I told the computer that this is a continuous variable. It does not know. So
yeah, maybe index.
Oh,
says that you should have two variables or +1 0 and -1 0.
yeah, I forgot. No. Okay, fine, great. You guys gave an exam. We did not give an exam, so you can see how much I remember. Anyway, so what we do is we do put I dot, okay, which I was talking about earlier, that it makes it an indicator variable. So over here, the base is always the smallest, which is the shorter. It's basically the benchmark case, and then you compare everything to benchmark. So short minus shorter is this thing, long minus shorter is this thing, and longer minus shorter is this thing. Right? I hope that's fine with you guys. Like, right? So just keep in mind whenever you have this, you put I dot, and whenever you're taking an interaction, and if it's a continuous variable, please use C dot before it. Right. I think we have done enough for that. Now what we do is we learn how to save a file. Nothing simpler. Save. Put the global operator, unpacking operator for global, which is a $sign. We put output because that's how we saved it over. And then we write autofinal.dta and we put comma replace so that it can be overwritten. Right. So I do this thing and then I just check my folder. So you can just go to your output folder and you can see that okay, there is a auto sub final. There's a reg file which saves your regression output. There is a scatter. Basically, I did a graph export to save my graphs. I saved my graph as a PDF. The reason being, when you save something as PNG, you can't really select the numbers or letters inside it. The reason I saved it as PDF is because now I can just read it as a text and not as a picture. Great. So if you guys want to use clean plots instead of the ugly graphs which Stata gives you, you can just copy these 2 lines of code, copy this, and just paste it on your console without the comment in front of it, okay? Sorry. What did I do? Yeah, so you first do net install, which basically installs this thing, clean plots, and then you just do this thing, set scheme clean plot. So now if you make a graph, it is much cleaner for you guys. Yeah, it's for me, it's already done. So now if you draw any graph, it will be much clearer. But I'll leave that to you guys. for later. So any doubts till now? So we are done with our introduction, and this was, remember, this was just data introduction. This is not nothing to do with causal inference 402. That's something we will come to right now. Any doubt till now, guys?
So what's the interpretation of what you were asking before? Like the dummy variable. Is it the dummy variable trap you were talking about?
No, not dummy variable trap. What I'm saying is that think of it as okay. Yeah, no, calm down. I'll just write it again. So if I were to just do this, this means is that like from short to shorter to short will be the difference between the means would be this much, and from shorter to short to long it will be same, and then from shorter to longer it like long to longer it will also be the same. What we want is to allow the data to speak for itself. So we want to allow this thing. So this what this means is that the shorter is the base benchmark category. Difference between the mean of shorter and short is this. Difference between the shorter and long is this, and shorter and longer is this. So we allow things to speak for the data. So instead of putting a restriction, you same over difference. That's the reason we put I dot. So whenever you have categorical variables, never use them in regression as directly. Guys, any doubts? Okay, so we'll move on to just pay attention right now. And this is something you guys will do on your own now. Okay. So, and okay, so can you just open this file, 1v sub RCT? You can open it directly from here. You can click on open from the do file and then open it here. Anyone has any issue with it? Just bata them. 1v RCT. किसी का नहीं खोला तो बता दो. Okay, guys, please pay attention. Samne. First of all, change the paths. I think that's fine. Just first file se copy kar lo. First file se copy kar lo and idhar usko change kar do. Change the paths quickly to your computer. 1B, mein, go to 1B and change the paths. Okay, and then run the entire file. You can just use Control A, Control D, because it's a literally like rest of it is just comments, which are some questions which I have given you, and we'll be solving these questions together. So this is nothing. So I gave you a basically a paper, which is an RCT, in which in that RCT what they have done is they have gone to Barabanki district of Uttar Pradesh and they've conducted an RCT where they give the treatment group, like they've assigned randomly, and they've given the treatment group like solar grids, like solar panels for them. And then some of them are such remote places where they don't even have electricity in the first place, right? And some of them do, but then they are getting an extra solar power. So we want to compare what are the effects of solar panel installation. And this is like something you, I guess you guys will understand when I say the term ITT. Can someone just give me the full form of ITT? Intent to treat, right? And can someone tell me what that is?
The effect on tools for design and applied.
No. The first one was right, second one was wrong.
Okay.
ITT just basically means I assign and then I look from assignment. Whether or not they pick up is not my concern, because I feel that pickup is part of my, what do you call it? Like it's part of your like, EOT. Don't go there. That's part of LAT, right? You later, yeah.
We just assume that whether
That does not matter to us essentially. What you're saying is ki what matters is the treatment assignment. Whether or not the take up is part of like the project evaluation itself. Yeah, participation does not matter, but what matters is our Z variable. Z is what we have assignment, right? And what you call D is basically your whether they pick it up or not, right? Take up time. So I assume you guys studied that like Monday or Friday, last class. Friday, I think Friday. You guys did that. So that's where we pick up. And please just run this thing entirely. So you will have use RC, this raw and RCD data. And let's just look at this data, fine? It has a lot of variables. And I want you guys to take like 2 minutes to read, like, what all variables are there. Guys, please do a test. Like, click on test. Describe. Yeah. So if I didn't tell you guys, DES is short for describe. It just gives you all the variables, the strings, and variable labels. Just to take 2 minutes to just read through the variable labels and you can understand all is there. If anyone needs help, just call me. Guys, किसको दिक्कत आ रही है प्लीज बताओ. ये रिसर्च आज होगी. Yeah, you had an issue. Yes. Yeah, working for you? Working for you? Working for you? Working for you? Chalo, ठीक है. Everyone, I hope you have gone through the variables एक बार. ठीक है? This will help you understand the difference between variable label, value label again. Right? I don't have to go through it again. So the first task I want you to do is to rename. Yeah.
Strings 27, 43.
So there are different types of ways in which you save string. Doesn't matter to us. That's fine with us. ठीक है? Yeah, then guys, listen, please everyone pay attention. This is the first question I give you. To rename, there's a variable called male school kids and a female school kids, and this is like a very long variable. I don't really want that. So can you just rename these to something which you like? Not necessarily male, female, but like child, probably child underscore male or child underscore female. But do it, like just do it. Male kids school or female kids school? Yeah, so just change it to something which you find is better and more intuitive. What this means is written over here. Okay, male children at school, write something small, shorter, and better, and do both of them in the same line. And whenever you forget commands, please go to the intro one over here. इसमें तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा how to change things. Okay? Once you're done, please let me know. Try to do it over here, guys. Try to solve it here, not on the console. Try to solve it here and then click on Control D. Select it and then click on Control D and then check the results. Or if you want, there's an easier way to do this, guys. Look over here. इधर जाना, इसको इधर करो, इसको इधर करो. So you can do side by side. उसके बाद. That is, yeah. Okay, so I don't know if it's there on your this thing, but you have this. Just click on here, and you can just divide this side by side करके. I don't know if it's on your computer. हाँ, वो इसलिए मुझे लगा था नहीं होगा. That's why. Yeah. So it's very useful for coding when you have a script window and you have a console output window. Also, you can do one thing, matlab, you can just, yeah. But does it work on that thing?
Yeah.
If it does, just tell everyone. Can you just tell everyone how to do it?
Yeah.
Guys, he's saying something.
Hey, if you want to have this two-panel side, just like Sanjog has done, choose one of the windows, the Windows button and left. You can pan to the left side of the screen. Okay, then go to your other window, press the Windows button, press right. You'll get pan to the right. So the left and right.
It's not
उसमें
Windows L.
Windows left, not Windows lock.
What was the part?
Alt tab नहीं,
MA
Windows
equal
left.
DST 2001 to 3. Yeah.
Left direction.
MA eco DSC 1 to 3.
So it's two.
Yeah.
How do you count it?
Guys, if your file already has someone, there was a session before this, and some of them have already solved like few questions. If you want to solve it again, you're free to do it. If you want to just keep it, it's fine. I'm not going to check it. Anyway, so I think most of you guys know by now how to do this. I'm just you know, guys, छोड़ दो उसको please. Okay. So you just do rename, right? You write first variable x and then you write y and then you do again x new and then you do y sub new. Fine. I won't run this because this is like not the variable name, but I hope you understand what this means. Okay. Now I want you to generate total kerosene expenditure. Guys, pay attention. I want you to generate total kerosene expenditure. So there's two kerosene types of kerosene expenditure. One is PDS and one is private. I want you to sum them up and create a new variable called kerosene subtotal underscore total. Okay, can you please do that? Similarly, I want you to create another variable called time underscore social, which would basically be the time they spend with relatives and time they spend with friends, right? And then I want to take you to take log of expenses and log of savings. So I want you to create four new variables. If it is already done, please don't write your own codes, guys. No, wo expense and savings. I've forgotten to written savings. Take log of savings. Please, if you're facing issues, let me know. Guys, if it's already been written, हटाओ तो आप खुद का code लिखिए, it will be useful. No, there's no bracket in generate. So you write gen, then you write the variable name, then you write equal to, and then you. So gen total. You can have one word. You can have several words. Okay, so underscore. So all the variable can't have space, and the variable name can't have space in between, right? Just ensure that it has to be unique. It can't be something which is already present. Yeah.
So when generate, can I generate at the same time? That's not all.
Expense है क्या?
क्या?
तो क्या है? क्या facilities?
नहीं, go to the
What was the problem? के expense क्या चीज़?
so if you have done that, you will not be asking. Just go to your like console. So a lot about Stata is jumping between windows. Please use alt tab. Don't use alt tab.
दोनों वाला.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
See, now you understand. If you want to read this, you would understand. Guys, please use alt tab. Don't use your mouse. Alt tab, jaldi hoga. If you have time with it, that's fine. But otherwise, please use alt tab. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to add the kerosene expenses. Second thing you want to do is add the time for relatives and time for I think friends, and then take log of expenses and take log of savings.
Social time or domestic violence.
No, domestic violence. That's a binary. Like that's binary. Yeah. Control D.
Relative time spent standard.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. So guys, when you have missing value, guys, pay attention, pay attention. So if there is something missing value and do a plus with a missing value, with any value method, you do 1 plus missing, basically 1 plus dot, it gives you dot. So any operation with a missing value gives a missing value. So when you generated something, which will like how 100 plus missing value generated, because that means at least one of them is a missing value. That's all. Abhi ke liye वैसा कर लो, there's another way to go around it. I would tell you. So that's fine, but that's not an error. That's what do you expect? Everyone done? Is there no doubt? So I'll just do kerosene total. Guys, please pay attention. Guys, pay attention. I do generate. Kero sub total is equals to. So there is another way to do this. It's called row total. And I put the variable. So kerosene, I take this, I take this. I put it over here. Control D. So guys, I've created a, guys, please pay attention on the screen. So instead of generate, I use something called egen. Don't remember. But I'm just saying, इसमें मैंने row total लिखा है, and then I write variables जिनको I want to add, right? Instead of writing generate plus and plus, I wrote egen. The reason I did it because इसमें क्या होता है कि if one of them is missing and another one is not missing, it takes missing as 0 and just gives you the new value. But if both are missing, it gives you a missing value. But that's besides the point. You can always do gen this and this. Okay? That's totally fine by me. Now what we want to look at is ki, okay, I want you to do something like let's look at tab of survey. Fine. Sorry. Why is this? Okay. Tab of survey. So you can see there is baseline, midline, and end line, right? And I just want the end line data. So end line's value is 3. So I want you to do something which only keeps the value of the end line data. All the other observations should be removed. So which one should we use? Row or column operations? Should I re-explain? Yeah. So there's a variable called survey. It takes 3 values: baseline, midline, and end line. This is a type of survey like baseline survey, midline survey, endline survey. I just want to keep endline surveys observations. So should I do a row operation or a column operation? Row operation. So tell me the command. Then
Where is it coming on the end line on the answer?
वो पता नहीं. ठीक है, if it's coming only end. So अच्छा, I'll tell you why, because इसमें पहले से जो तुम्हारे पहले जो ने किया था उन्होंने करके रखा हुआ. That's fine. Equal to the value. See, you don't know the value. So there's a way to do it, but I won't tell you abhi. But like it's 3. Okay? It's 3. Fine. So what happens is that it deleted a lot of observations, and then when you do a tab survey, it only leaves endline, which already what you guys must have because तुम लोग के पहले इन्होंने use कर दिया, इसको override कर दिया. That's fine. No issues altogether. So this is what we have, right? That was the first task I gave you. Now I want you to remove these 4 variables. It's not this content, it's this content. Yeah. Spelling एक बार इधर से check कर लेना variable manager से, ठीक है? And I want you to drop these 4 variables in one line. Please do that.
How do you get to know that survey is equal to?
Oh, so I have this command. So either use that, or what you can do is you can do take like you can. So I'll tell you guys, right? Oh fuck. Okay. मेरे वाले में चल रहा है, so that's fine. I think. Okay. So there's something called label control. So you have label list. So I have to first check what is survey ka variable value label. Yeah, that's fine. Label इसमें क्या है? Yeah. Label survey. Value label. Okay, let's look. Survey का. Survey नीचे होगा. Survey label. ठीक है. This is the name of the value label. So if you want to check what the label is, so you just do label list survey. See, 1 baseline, 2 midline, 3 endline. अभी के लिए I just told you guys कि क्या है. You don't need to worry about this. Okay. How do I get that back?
So you can't write only survey.
No. So this is like variable name, but we want to look at the value label name. So this is what it tells you. But that's why I had to go and check what the value label was and then implement it. तुम लोग कंप्यूटर चल रहा है सब सही? तो उधर ही खुल गया, right? ठीक है, great.
Is there a particular reason why we are including baseline and mid-line?
No, it's basically so then it becomes a panel. I guess you guys haven't really studied panel, and I don't want to get there. So I just want to look at just one-time data, just the cross-section data, and not like panel data in general. Just to simplify stuff, and also you guys get to practice drop if and like I want you guys to do. Have you guys done the drops? Maybe that's fine. Okay, let's move on. I want you to assign variable label to, let's say, any one of the variables. Just do that. जिसमें नहीं है. So let's say household size. I want you to apply a variable label to the household size. Just do that. If you guys face any problem, let me know. Variable label. Please go back to 1A. I don't expect you to remember everything in a period of 1 hour. I'm not that brutal. Label variable. The name of the variable, which in this case is household size. And then you put between quotes, and then you write household size. But if you notice something, either you can't really see the colors. That's why I asked you to write it over here so that you know when you do that, let's see, and you can really see the colors coming into play. So you can see, okay, this is red, this is black, this is blue. Like, so you can understand what's happening. It's much better. So you should definitely work on do files and not on console. I'm just doing it because I don't have me to save this one. Fine. So I click on this and you can see household size comes up here. Like it has a variable label assigned to it. So everyone's done with it? I hope so. Okay, so the next question. This side, please pick religion. This side, pick caste. So just do a tab of these variables. Tab of religion or caste. I'll just do religion ka. See, it's Hindu and there's another called Muslim. Take it. These are string variables. Now I want you to convert this string into first numeric values 0, 1 or 1, 2 or something like that. Then I want you to add value labels to them. Yeah, the first restring them and then add value labels. So you just have to do something which you have done already, but just practice it. I'm giving you 5 minutes. This is a very simple task. We have boundary now. Please use do files, not console. Just do one, guys. Either religion or caste, don't do both. It will take a long time. What? No, so we have religion or caste to take choose. Sorry, let's leave it. There are two families for religion. I want you to assign Hindu as one, vice versa. And then what I want you to do is to reset to one and two zero one any six together. And then I want you to reset. After you vary these from them, what you want to do is that you assign a value. You label define to religion and then you can put any name, generate zero. The way we did for foreign. Just look at the old code, and then just try to. I'll just open the old code. Iske samne, maybe you can code off it. Redo this. That's all. I've just put it on the screen. Maybe you guys can look at it. If इसी का just copy करना है. So, किसी का हो गया? Has anyone been able to do it? Please tell me जल्दी. We have to move to regulations. Please be a little fast. Yeah. This is the capital R. You can just do control H. Capital religion before small religion before the first step. Okay, guys, I think we just call time of death on this. I'll just show you if you haven't done already. Okay, it's pretty similar. Guys, please pay attention. इसमें होगा replace religion equal to 1 if religion equal to like Hindu, and then replace religion equal to 2 if religion equal to Muslim, and then you put. I don't think you have any missing value in case में, right? So what you do is you do d string religion comma replace, right? After that you do label define. You can write it as religion. You can write it as type, anything which you want. and then you're 1 Hindu, 2 Muslim, and then you label values, religion, and then you, let's say, put religion again. So you can write religion twice, or you can say religion sub value, and you can write religion sub value here. Fine. So एक बार practice करोगे आ जाएगा, but I think you guys have sort of gotten the gist of it. So let's not waste time. Just like pay attention. That's fine. Whatever you have done, it's fine. Please pay attention. Abhi, I'm leaving these 5 and 6 questions last के लिए. Question. Look at question number 7, which is to basically, guys. Yeah. So this asks कि choose dependent variables क्या हो सकते हैं. So let's just look at few dependent variables. Fine. Okay, tell me, what do you think is a good dependent variable? Looking at here, outcome variables which you want to look at here, or if you have read the paper, you would actually know already. So batao. Maybe if something you have created. Savings, yes. What is that? Expenses, yes. So yeah, domestic violence also. So what we can probably look at in the beginning right now is right. Just a second. So we can do probably red. Just a second, I just looks ugly. Yeah. Yeah. So we do a regression of kerosene. We took total kerosene, right? And then we had, tell me what, we had treatment. So this is how you find ITT. This is ITT value, okay? So what you find over here is this is -7. Can someone tell me what this means essentially? Guys, please pay attention. You guys are not looking at the screen. Please look at the screen. Please don't use your computers. Yeah, tell me what this -7 means. Treatment है ये treatment. So I regressed kerosene, total expenditure on kerosene and treatment. So what does this -7 mean? Yeah, why do you think that is? No, I mean basically because they were given treated, right? What was the treatment? Solar panel. So it's kind of a substitution effect, if you can see that, right? So since they're like, you're getting solar energy, you don't have to use as much kerosene. So and it's kind of significant. It's significant at 5%, right? So we are happy with this result. However, we want to also look at what is the before, like if you have noticed, whenever you've read a paper, there's something called balance test.
Yeah.
What that means is that are you really sure that what the randomization which happened was it really good, right? Was it really random? So what you do essentially is that you think of covariates, right? So think of very several covariates which can happen over here. Tell me, क्या covariates हो सकते हैं? Not outcome variables, but what is a covariate type of a thing? Like when I have like data, maybe some people of a particular caste got right, some people of a particular religion got it more, some age में तो है नहीं because there's a household, but the household size can differ across, right? अगर household size differ करेगा तो क्या होगा? Kerosene expenditure differ करना चाहिए, right? Things like that. So let's do a t-test. You remember t-test which I did earlier? So I do a t-test, and notice I'm just doing for caste 1 and not all castes because it's a I can't take all the castes as a I just take dummies, right? So I do caste 1. Sorry, caste 1, comma by, and then I do treatment. See, tell me. So is this random or is it not random? What does that mean? Is it random or is it not random? Was the treatment assignment, was it random or not? If the p-value is so high, look at this, no?
You cannot reject the number from
हाँ, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It is random. It is based on this.
same medium.
Right. Based on this, it is same. That's why it's not an issue. There are like several others. Let's do something else. Tell me. Let's do household size, right? By treatment, right? Now tell me, is this random or is it not random? Not random. You can also see the mean over here is way too different, right? And if you want to see this alag way mein, I can just do K density. क्या था इसका? What is this household size? Household size if treatment equal to 0, K density, household size if treatment equal to 1. Yeah. So you see this graph. So this is the left. The left one is the treatment, and right one is the control. I have not really defined this. Achhe se abhi. So you just take it like from me. The control has a higher household size than the this thing itself. You can see here, right? So this is what I've shown you graphically. Overlap करते हैं या फिर उनका mean जो है it would be very like statistically equal. So when I say statistically equal, they're not exactly equal, but the standard errors is kind of so large ki fark nahi padta. Anyway, so now that we have done it, maybe what we should do is that we should have a covariate, and that covariate is nothing but household size, right? And even though this like household size ka p value is very large, this is fine. It's still under 5%. Like it's kind of significant, and this is what matters to us. So this is -5 and not -7. So what this means is that the -7 हमने जो देखा था, from that -7, some of it was big because of the control households having a larger household size. That's why they required more kerosene expenditure than just being. So you differentiated these two causal impacts which are going in different directions. So this was a potential confounder for us. Like covariates are also called confounders or open backdoors. So this is what we tried to close by introducing this over here, right? So this is a good way to look at ATT, which we did, but there's something else which we have studied, which is called LAT, right? So not everything is accepted, so we can just do tap of survey, not survey, sorry, treatment, and then adopted, not adopted, installed. So look at this. So this table tells us 0 and 0. That means that people who were in control and who did not ended up taking, getting it installed. Then there are people in control who actually got the, probably some method they got through, right, at the end of the day. And then there are people who were in treatment but did not take it, which are not never take it, but like people who did not take it, like people who did not. Let's not go there. And one which people who actually ended up following the protocols, right? And they took then 355 people. So that means we should obviously look at only those people who ended up taking. That means looking at even at the people in control who ended up taking it, and only people at the treatment who ended up taking it. So we have to do an IV regression, and that means we are using Z, which is our this thing treatment. This becomes our instrument, and installed variable becomes our main endogenous regression variable, right? I hope you guys understand what this means to SLS, but like yeah. So, but let's say I don't know how to do this, so that's called IV regress, right? Or IV reg for short. You can just go here. Look at over here. Okay? Forget the estimator. IV regress. Def par means what? Dependent variable. Over here, this means covariates. This means varless 2 is the endogenous variable, which for us is what? Installed. And varless IV is basically our instrument, which is what? Treatment. That's all you have to do. So you can just write IV rec. What is our dependent variable? Carrot subtotal. Okay. We put household size. We put first we put the endogenous thing, that is installed, equal to what was the instrument? Instrument was treatment. Yeah. And we click on enter. So you see, this is the value we wanted. So instrumented is installed, and instrument is household size and treatment, because household size is kind of also treatment. Take it. So -16, you see this is a large value. Can someone tell me why it's a larger value than -5 or -7 depending on? Because fewer people have taken it up, so the denominator becomes smaller. And overall, so whenever you do an IV, it's nothing but you're just dividing it by the percentage difference.
Yes.
Like you're dividing by probability, right? ITT upon the take-up rate. That's how you calculate it. So why or kuch nahi. That becomes a larger number. So this is what, so in a sense, this is where we actually wanted to reach at. So whatever you have studied till now, you can sort of play with data and understand what you're trying to do. I understand this is a lot of commands, but you don't have to worry about all of them. So you've done this IV regression. Similarly, you can put that IV regression over here, and then you can look at the value, etc., etc. So abhi ke liye, I think this is good enough. I want you guys to, abhi jitna time hamare paas, we probably have 15 minutes for us. I want you guys to do question number 5 and 6. Okay, question number 5 is just asking you to take the two variables which we have in male and female children. I want you to sum them up and check against there's another variable called number of children. I want to check, tell me कि कौन सी variable जहाँ पे rows में wherever they're similar or they're not similar. Fine. Technically, it should be male plus female should be total number of children, assuming there are no non-binary children. So male and female should be equal to total, but it won't be the case in some cases. Deliberate, like I've manipulated deliberately. I want you to find out kahan pe hai, and if it is, and let me know. Fine. That is one. And the second question wants you to say that wherever the value is 99 for this variable called kids lighting, I want you to convert it to 0. And generate, I want to convert it to 0. And I want you to generate dummy called study. What a dummy variable does is it takes value 0 when it is 0 or missing. And when it is greater than 0, I want to take value 1. That's it. Just do that. And then we are done. So this is 13. Yeah, so this means that this means ours get the study. I want to create a dummy whether it's study or not. That basically means that if it is positive, if the number of hours are positive, that would mean that it's study. There's a variable on yeah, that's called kids hours kids lighting. So in the like the description, I think variable label you can understand. Kids are over, there's no variable. So first what you generate like numbers that variable have some now check we have a you have a computer in front of you, use it. I'll tell you the answers eventually. Don't worry. So
I'll just create a generate some. Guys, use gen, okay? Don't useegen. Just use gen and do male and female ka sum, and then create another variable called sum underscore children or any name you want. And then just compare, like just open this and look at so what I did was I did BR of like these 4 variables. So you can see in most places they might be equal, but they're like, look at this row. Isme 2 hai, isme 3 hai, right? Because they have mentioned 1 and 1, but over here it is 3 for some reason. There's another variable called children. So what I want you to do is that I want you to find out which are the rows, or like at least the number of rows where this thing happens. I can give you a hint. You have to create another variable. But in a flag also, like I said, on the flag, the rows which are think of a binary variable which tells me that generate a binary, it's like generate another variable which tells you if it takes a value 1 if they're different, takes a value 0 if they're not. Also, you can use generate something and then you put it in the bit at the end. So it will work. Yeah. Please pay attention, guys. Pay attention. I'll just discuss it with you. Okay. So it's good that you're using. I've seen good techniques being used. Count if, which is very clever. Differences, like dummy variable. So I think the easiest is dummy variable. So first, what I did was ki pehle generate kiya sum of these two. Fine. Then what I do is I generate dummy difference dummy. Okay. This takes the value 1 when they are different and takes the value 0 if they're not. So if what should be the condition? Basically, some sub children. Yeah. So some sub children not equal to children. Right. And then I should do what? Yeah, replace diff dummy equal to 0 if exactly. Right. So I've already generated that. I just do this. Fine. And then I can do a tab of diff dummy. So this tells us ki kahan pe they're different and kahan pe different nahi hai. Guys, everyone's fine with this? Yes. You understood the concept behind it, right? It's just a little bit of like manipulation, nothing else. Now I want you to do this. एक बार जल्दी से करो. Whenever there's again converted to 0, and I want you to create a dummy called dummy for studying, which basically takes the value 1 if the kids are like if the kids lighting is positive, and if it is missing also, it could be 0. Next.
नया बनाने के लिए रिप्लेस कर सकते हो बट I'll tell you problem. फिर उसमें इसका कंडीशन डेटा चेंज हो जाएगा. Then if you put if condition, it will go according to the new thing. So you create issues. Don't do it. But next condition. Replace with your you have changed all the data. That's why you generate.
Don't do. Sir, listen. You have to remember that whenever even if it's missing, make it 0. Even if like kids lighting is missing, the dummy should have value 0. If it is 0, it should have value 0. If it is more than 0, it should have value 1.
And or missing is nothing.
Look at the first.
Or command.
अगर वो string है तब भी double inverted हो जाएगा. वो string नहीं तो dot है. और double equal to है.
double equal to a dot, not a string.
Yeah. The name you have is like gone.
It's like how I can see that.
No, it's either 100 coming with
Oh, they might have all based this. Yeah, that's fine if you don't have it. You can create another variable. Like it's fine. That's what I can count.
So guys, I'll show you a trick इसके लिए, ठीक है? So generate study equals to, guys, please, एक बार देख लो. I just put condition over here directly. It's a shortcut, okay? So study equal to kids lighting hours greater than 0, right? And probably not missing, and not missing. What is the variable called? Kids hours. Okay. So this automatically creates this variable, which at the end, which takes value 1, 0 because it's a boolean, right? Yeah. So the value is 1 and 0. हमें worry करना नहीं पड़ा. So it's in one line. I've created this code, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to jump here directly, but it's basically say that wherever it is not missing, and if it is greater than 0, take the value 1, otherwise take 0. So this is how you interpret it. You can write directly in one line. But that's fine. So that sort of concludes the session for today. Thank you guys for coming in. तुम लोगों को कुछ doubts है तो you can ask me right now. I'm here for like 15 more minutes. You can ask anything from beginning, from like Stata doubts to like course ka issues or like academia mein, since so I would be like so I'm working right now under Professor Rohini Somanathan, and in December I would be going for a pre-doc to Princeton. So thank you. So it's a pre-doc. It's like an RH shift, but you get to study at the same time. So before I apply for PhD for the next semester, so I'll do a pre-doc for 2 years. If any doubts about like these things, like if you're interested in research, you can. No? You have the I don't give views, but yeah, you have my ID. But otherwise, if you have any doubt, इसमें पहले इसका देख लो, कुछ doubt है तो you can ask. Oh, I mean, for me, I just like studying. I guess. I mean, I mean, I'm still open to it. It's not that I'm going to academia for sure. Like, we will go for like industry jobs after a PhD, but I just felt this master's is not enough studying for me. And I like econ, I like statistics a lot. I might not like theory always, like I'm more of an empirical person, but that's sort of shift and like we have to do everything. So I don't like reading a lot of papers, to be honest, but I do like using research techniques. So we use like Stata every day for our work. So Stata, the reason I'll tell you, especially if someone is going for academia, that's the first thing they require for you to get a RH or a finger. So yeah, that's why Stata. Also, Stata is much easier than the other languages. I would say if you had Python, if you have to find as well, you have to find that .head and you have to do several times. You can't go through it that easily. And if you understand the code, you can understand the code, but you don't have this another panel like which has like a PR window where you can look through the data. So you have to understand the data, or instead of actually having to look through it. It's much easier also. You have to do import stats models, your API, and then you're doing add constant, SM or add constant, right? There are a lot more steps, and it's because it's meant for economists, so this is more related to what, right? It's not necessarily what they have. That's it. Definitely use it. It's much simpler for you to do things here. Yeah, you can do fine. If you're more comfortable, please use that software. That's why I told you from the beginning, it's completely voluntary. You don't have to come to the session. But if you come here, then please do. And if you decide you're fine with Python, I was a Python person before I started Stata. I didn't know Stata before COVID, but I just felt the Stata was much more straightforward when it comes to statistical. So I see. So Stata is good for programming. For programming, like better Python when it comes. It's maybe you can do loops, you can do functions, you can do a lot of those things, but it's much easier in Python, and definitely much easier than R. But I don't know. But I don't know why you guys think that much easier, but it's a very useful language. उसमें GV products that the resolution is really nice, but you can do all of those things in Python much better. But I would just take it
I don't have to explain you the basics of programming to and teach you what are regression. I just don't have to do that, all of that. What is the object? What is OOP programming? I don't have to do that all together. But it's me volume. That's yeah. What else? And academia, yes. I mean, I was scoring very well. I had a backup job also at Wells. I had another scholarship at ISI and exams were going for that. I just interviewed and I've been applying for principal since March. Anything else? What? I do, but I don't know because it's just mostly like pop stuff, pop songs, not for like academia programs. I hope you don't follow. You can follow my Insta. You don't follow me. Yeah. What else? You guys are, otherwise it's done. You can ask. You can like. You
So
can
academia paid you well, respectable stuff.
no, definitely. So
why-
I mean, I like it. That's why I'm doing it. It can't be for money because they don't pay. Yeah, the pay is not that great, but I mean, so you're coming here working as an RA because you are hoping for a PhD and not because it's your final. Money is not the first thing. Unless if you obviously want to earn as much where you can like, sustain. But then you go to like, when I go for like outside, friends, they pay me. That's it.
So before going to PhD,
Hmm?
before going to PhD, you need 1 or 2 RA at least.
Yeah, so freedom is nothing but an RA, but you get so one it's in US or like Western schools. Then you get to attend class like credit. It's not just credit, like not just audit classes, but even credit classes. So let's say I did not take math over here because I didn't want to do it. Like, a lot of people got into math, and like, I understand that my marks will be really important when it comes to PhD application. So I didn't take math here, but then I can take math in my freedom. And since it's only one subject I'm studying and not like 4 subjects, maybe I can score better. Even if I don't score better, I can choose not to show that. But here I have to, whatever I do in the master's courses, I have to. That's what helps you. Also, like transition from here to PhD is much more difficult than from foreign school. So academia works on references, so they know like people better. If anyone, for instance, referring you, will probably get into a state university. Maybe not an IB, but if you're coming from IB, you can go to at least a state university.
What would be the ideal CGPA of the masters? For PhD.
Oh, that's nothing like that, but then you can leave a bit which Shona this is done anyway. So we're just having an informal chat. So 8 plus.
8 plus. Is it possible in master's and BSc? And with offline?
I don't know.
In offline, actually.
I just thought 8 plus would be easy for you guys because 8 offline, but online.
एक offline, एक online था उसमें भी 7.6.
See, I can't compare directly with you guys because हमारे team.
Of course.
So I mean, it's up to you. 8 plus. I would prefer 8 plus, but.
I heard that if it's not A plus, then you can do a job maybe and
Yeah,
years
so
of
you just try to diversify your portfolio, get other stuff.
get RH. I heard that you can get a job in research sector and then
Yeah,
go
the
for
research
PhD.
sector, so there are companies, there are places like आते हैं ना BMGF तो है. There is this Samagra and
Satma.
there are these research organizations basically. So these are the organizations where you can just apply. But I think like
So the domain should not be data analysis or the
it can be, but it will be a difficult transition for you to once you get in there, you do something back. You can always go from academia to industry, but it's very difficult to come from industry. So it's that's if you can decide. Yeah, that's pretty much. So you guys have to please as a class as a whole, एक बार decide कर लेना and send a report to JV ma'am. One pager, class as a whole only. But obviously not everyone has to write. Few people will write, but just give your inputs. No adjectives, nothing about like how it was taught. Just talk about what you learned and just send a report to JV. I will mail the CR and then the PR will.
पूरा होगा 1 A 1 B 1 B.
हाँ, but then 1 B में I won't have the answers. उसमें you have to do it again if you. ठीक है?
सर मैं बंद कर दिया तो बीच में उन्होंने कुछ कर दिया बीच में बंद भी हो गया उन्होंने क्या कहते हैं वो कुछ चल रही है उनका प्रोजेक्ट वो इन्होंने और एक इससे ऑन वो कर दिया लॉग इन कर दिया लॉग आउट हो गया वैसे कोई जूम ऑटोमेटिकली लॉग आउट हो गया बट ठीक है पहले का है एक सेशन है कोई बात
कहाँ तक हुआ था?
एक सेशन इसमें सेकंड वाले में आधा हुआ
फिर उससे लॉग आउट में कोई दिक्कत नहीं चलता रहता है
तो फिर हो गया होगा फिर तो पूरा आ गया होगा क्योंकि मैंने बंद तो अभी किया अभी भी है ना देखो ना अभी भी वो स्क्रीन शेयर
तो यही तो बोल रहा हूँ
अभी भी ऑन ही होगा चल फिर